GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com. And welcome, everybody. We're going live for another Knife Sunday. Doesn't it seem right? Like there should be some sort of a live knife show every Sunday where people talk about knives and that kind of thing. That's what we're doing. So if you're joining us live, welcome. If you're listening to this in a podcast, it's going to be an audio adventure. I don't want you to poke your ears out or anything, but this will be an audio adventure so that people aren't left out that are listening to this as a podcast. How often are there... Oh man, I'm showing a barcode on a video. How often are there podcasts that talk about stuff? All right, so this episode we're going to be talking about Civivis. Why? Because Civivi has sent me 3 knives. So I'm taking a look at these things. First one they sent me, I'm assuming because I do a bunch of knife videos on the Amazon, they sent me this Cubit. And I'm a big fan of Civivi, so they said, hey, can we send you a knife? I was like, heck yeah. So I said, send me something blue. See how I caught it? Because I like them so much. I said, send me something blue if you would. And they said, how about this one? And I went, whoa, okay. So here's the deal. This is like, I'm a big fan of this type of grind on here. And then it's got an aluminum grip. It's tip up carry. I'm good with that. I really like the button lock. That's, for me, I don't like anything. I don't like going in here and then having to do one of these. And, you've got to move your thumb quick or move your I have 2 hands. I don't like any of those other kind of locks. I'm okay with Spyderco's, how they have the push button on the back. But still, you've got to do something. This is very much like an Axis, one of my favorite, but it's even better. It's just a button. So you push the button, and now everything's disengaged. It's just loose. See, I can wiggle the blade all I want. So essentially, you just have to let it fall over, and then it closes. It's great. So that part I really, really like. I don't know. What do you think about this bottle opener? So we're looking at, do we know how long this is by looking at it? Is this a 4-inch, 3.5-inch blade? Let's get ourselves it's a 3-inch blade. So we're looking at a 3-inch blade, and what would you call this? Drop point, clip point, leaf point. I've heard a couple of different names. Spade. I don't know if it's a spade, but it's essentially a simple knife, but with a flat grind. So from the spine, is that right, to the blade, it's just a nice flat. I really dig it. Gotten in the habit of liking these from all the different Spyderco's I have that are like this, leaf point. And that's what Gunswater's calling it. So, yeah, the blade blows me away. I really like it. They're super strong. I mean, I broke a lot of tips, a lot of Bowie-style blade shapes I've broken the tips off of. And I guess I could have broken the tips off one of these. They're not, like, super strong, but... I don't break them off. They tend to be fairly strong shape. Easy to sharpen for sure. But I guess if I got to say negatives on this one, it's too smooth for me. So I'm thinking about doing something with this, having it engraved, or maybe even trying to engrave it myself perhaps, or give it away. I might give it away. We'll see if these shows become more interesting. People join us. We have a bunch of people showing up live. We're getting a lot of response from podcasts or something. We'll start adding giveaway knives in there. This will definitely be in that list, I think, because as much as I like it, it's too smooth for me. My hands are too I don't know, living in Arizona and whatever, being old, it's too hard for me to hold on to this one. So let's see what Civivis come with. A lot of times people don't pay attention to the accessories. So somewhere in here is, maybe I took it out. There's usually a plastic bag that they're in. Then they come along with a cleaning towel. So this is a microfiber with a zigzag cut on the edge, I guess, so that it doesn't fray. And it's a pretty big cloth, actually. It's actually big enough that if you were going to take it apart to clean it or something, this would be a large enough cloth to create a nice workspace that's in this lime color or this high vis green that lets you have like a good contrasting color. I don't know if you've ever taken something apart, like a knife or a watch, even a little revolver or something. Having something like this, a nice little workspace that's high vis, makes those little screws and stuff stand out. And it's thick enough microfiber that it's actually going to be decent for that task, I think. Like the screws and stuff would stay put. So it's cool. They put that in there. They don't have to. It's branded, so you know where you got it from. There's a catalog in here. Everybody blows these off. Let's take a look at that catalog. It's the fold-out kind. They're bragging that they won Best Knife for their Elementium 2. Gizzard has a review of one of those with the new grip tech, the grip style. And then it kind of shows some of the variety they've got. Sheath, well, I guess that's a folder, but there's a sheath knife. Another folder. Some guy's holding it, and look, he's got glasses and a beard, so he knows how to cut things. Here's some other guy about to baton. Got to be able to baton if you're a knife guy, so you won't get much batoning here. I mock batoning. I think batoning is why you have axes. So I don't know if that's a folder or not. I think it's a folder. Somebody else? What are you doing? You're sneezing on everything. Quit it. And then now you're sticking it in a tree. So they're essentially showing off some of their knife styles. I don't know, a little dark, right? Can't hardly see all of them. But pretty cool. I like getting these fold-out catalogs. I think it's cool. Again, they don't have to do that. Hopefully it sells them some extra knives. And then you got their, whatever you call this. Is this lime green? You get this green logo sticker with every one you buy. And then I guess I always think they would put in a separate one for each knife, but I guess you just get this one, it seems like, which is neat. But at SHOT Show, they'll have, I mean, I think I have like 5 or 6 different types of knife stickers. So they do have other ones. And this is, I think that's the Elementium. Maybe not. And then we got a warranty card. Lets you know where to find them on the socials. Says thanks for your purchase. They're a super nice company. Been real responsive and attentive to everybody I've heard from. So every time we talk about Civivis, everybody says, "Oh, I like those knives." So all right, so that one is called the Cubit, or sorry, the Cubit. The Cubit. Well, I'm allowed to show barcodes over here, I think. So there you go, the Cubit. So do we go big or do we go small? Let's take a look at who's chatting with us today. We got Guns Water out there. Welcome. Krabby Turtle. Good evening. Good afternoon. And Surveillance. Right on. So should we go with the larger one here or do we go with the smaller one? Small like this little puppy right here or large like a big dog would be? So somebody will tell us here. Are they the same? Yeah, I guess they are this. Well, they're a little bit different. Are they different? I guess they're different. A little bit different corners. Definitely different sizes. So I guess they do have more than one size. So this is the little guy. And then this is the large one. Nobody's saying. So, oh, did I have those dice? I had some dice over here a minute ago. I guess we'll just go with the larger one since it's in front of me. So this one is called the Amorite. Same kind of situation. We've got the logo sticker, and they print on the back of the sticker. That's tight. I like that. We got the sticker with the knife, same one. The warranty, the catalog, and there's that bag I alluded to in the other one. And the only thing different really is that this one comes with a different color microfiber cleaning cloth. So I'm not sure. I if that's a large small differentiation or if there's some other differentiation. So I guess they dug that we did the review with them of that qubit. So they said, they said, hey, what else can we send you? So we got this Am I Right? And this one, oh man, I'm a big fan of this. I guess it's just on the big side. It is a little large. It's not the smallest knife ever or anything, but it's not too big to carry for sure. It's still within the realm of an EDC knife, in my opinion. Just noticed how, what's the word? How, what's the word? Centered that is, but precise they are. I don't know if I'm saying the right word. But yeah, these things are super well made, and they flip so well. So again, it's the push button lock. This one obviously has that same kind of grind, but with a reverse tanto. I know not everybody's going to dig that. It looks a little bit like a space knife or something. It does kind of look Space Forcey with this kind of blue. And then it's got a blue G10, which, these feel like they're made out of blue jeans or something. They feel like that kind of G10. So the material itself is porous. Maybe that's the way to say it. It feels like bone or like antler or something in that respect. So it's like similar to a synthetic bone. So you get that adhesion less from the texture than from the material. It's just something about the material is nice and grippy without being sticky. So I really like it. And then it's got this, what's the word for this? There's a name for this, I think, when they put this in the handle. So that gives you a nice orientation, or it gives you good leverage on there. And man, I like it. So this one's super easy to hold on to because it's a full-size grip or handle, I guess. And the clip, it's not my favorite. But as much as I like wire clips, do I have my wire clip sitting here? It's in the other room. They bend and they break. So these are stronger, and it does have a little hole in it. I don't know if you're supposed to use that as a lanyard or what, but it's enough to hold on to for sure. Like if you're flipping it, you can definitely hold on to that clip. It's big enough. That being said, I don't have to think about holding on to the grip on this one. It's definitely big enough for that, and that blade has enough mass to just flip open without any problem. Like, I guess I could probably put it in some direction where it wouldn't flip good. And again, I'm a fan of not having my fingers in the way of the blade, so I can one-handed close it. You might go, there's no way for you to do that left-handed. How could you close that knife without your other hand? Like, whatever you call goofy-footed or goofy-handed. So if you're left-handed and you're wondering if you can use this thing right-handed, or if you're right-handed and wondering if you can use it left-handed, yeah, no problem. That's why I like these buttons. Now, should they have technology to be able to push the button from both sides? I don't know. Somebody give me some feedback on that. I don't know if I'd like that or not, but I don't care if the button's on the other side permanently. But it's got a little bit of a recess for the button, so it's not going to, I don't think it's going to get pushed in your pocket. It is clip or tip up, so it is possible for that button to get smashed on something and then for it to open in your pocket. But you got to have some loose pockets for that to happen. I don't see that happening. But as far as other drawbacks, it's a little large. It's a little bit heavy, but man, just a little bit. I mean, that's not that much. It's lighter than a buck, I bet. If I brought out a buck knife and a scale, I'll bet this thing weighs less than a buck, whatever they are, the standard buck. So it's almost a fidget spinner. I can't quit fiddling with it. I have to keep putting it away just so I get work done because I keep wanting to fiddle with it. I wish I had something to cut with it. I could cut some boxes with it, but I really don't want to get it all gummed up with tape right off the bat. But eventually I'll start carrying it and it'll get all gross. And I can't remember what the metal is. One of the things I like about these Civivis also is there's nothing on the blade. Do you see anything like made in China on there? I'm sure they're made in China, but they don't waste your time, make your knife look all stupid. It does say something, but it's really, really small. It says Nitro V. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see this. But if I could get it to focus, it's right in here and it's super small. It's like micro stamped in here. And what did it say? It's either Nitro V or something like that. Nitro V. You can barely see it. It doesn't even look like a scratch. It doesn't even, you can't even see it. It's right close to the grip. So I really dig that about it. They're essentially blank. The only thing better is when they do write something on it and Spyderco's write USA Earth. Because one, nobody ever writes USA on their knife. They just say, you know, made in Denver or made in whatever, Colorado, made in Washington. But they almost never say made in USA. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Things say made in USA. What they don't say is made in Colorado, USA. But then nothing says Earth. And that's pretty cool. So any experience with their fixed blades, Krabby's asking, as far as Civivi? No, just from playing with them at SHOT Show. I never owned a Civivi until they sent me that blue one. So when they sent me that blue one, then I was like, hey, can you send me this blue one? And they're like, yeah, here. And that's when I went, well, you know what? Since you're sending me this one, since you're going to be putting something in the mail anyway, what do you think about this one? I'm a big fan of knives that don't have locks on them. So we get all the same stuff, but this one, silica. So that must mean this one is dripping. So this one's a little tiny one. They call this the raw or natural G10. I forget if it's natural G10 or raw G10. But Foss last night was saying that this is like a jade. It's got a little bit of a green. I can't tell if that's my lighting or if it's just, I guess it's a little bit of a jade color. But it's not green in my opinion. It's, if anything, it almost looks like a glow in the dark when it's not glowing. And this is a little knife without any lock. I can just close it. And they call that a slip lock, I think, or slip joint. And it's the G10. It's got a little bit of shape and a little bit of a texture, but not much. And then it actually doesn't have any texture. I guess it's got texture because when you cut G10 across the grain or whatever, it gets a little bit of a texture. I wonder if I can get this thing instead of being focused on my dog's leg. Where's the camera? I can just get it to focus in. I could probably bring the ring camera out here too. That would help. Or the ring light, I should say. Let me get this ring light around here. I do have a link out to a couple of people, but I guess they're not joining in. Give us some feedback, though, if we should make this a multi-person show. I could have people on a panel show, a panel discussion. So you can kind of see the layers of the G10, give it a little bit of texture. And again, a kind of a weird blade shape, a goofy blade shape. But I like that it's flat. It's a little bit ground, but it's essentially flat. It's like having a razor blade that is, you know, that thick with some jimping on the top and on the bottom. And even though it's not a flipper, there's nothing sticking out the side. It's easy enough to hold on to it with 2 fingers. And as long as I'm not trying to not do it. Oops. Well, of course, now it's not going to do it, but it'll flip right open. And I'm pretty sure I can do that with both hands. Of course, I'm not going to be able to do it because I haven't done it enough. But it's not loose for sure. Like, it's staying anywhere. You do have to really get a flick in there. But if you give it any amount of movement, it's easy enough to flip it. Sorry, I'm reading a thing. Okay, sorry, I'm reading a thing over here. So, like I say, I am able to get it to flip, which I dig. And I just haven't decided if I'm going to keep this one or do another one as a giveaway. I don't remember what this one cost. Actually, it's right here, so I do remember what it cost if I open this up. This one is $40.
So Civivi sent.
This one is $40. So I don't know. Do you think this is worth $40? Kind of depends on if you need it for work or travel or something. You could now, I guess, can you take this on an airplane? Is this something you could take on an airplane, or can you not take any knives on an airplane now? It's almost like snapping. So it's like once instead of trying to hold it the way I was holding it, I'm kind of holding it a different way here, and it's kind of like snapping. And then once you open, it's right here. So that might be the way you open it. Gunswater saying the Kershaw Cinder looks like that, but smaller. I had one from CRKT that was like this that I really liked. I can't remember if I still have it or not. Dig the natural color. It responds best to dye. I didn't think about that, but yeah, these are kind of porous. So you probably could, just soak it in something, I guess. So what's people's opinion on that blade shape? Is this something? And then this is what, the stone wash or something they call this? I could dig it. It's not my favorite finish for a blade, but it seems like durable, seems rugged. Just seems like it's, not clean, not dirty. It's kind of a weird, it's when it looks clean, it's like cast iron. Like when it's clean, it still doesn't look polished. You might not be able to tell, but my co-host over here is snoring. And since nobody else is joining in, that's all you're getting is co-host noises. So we do have some other stuff we can look at besides Sabibi, but nobody's really saying anything, or nobody's joining in, I should say. So I'm going to just keep fiddling with these Sabibis. But what I was hoping to do today is bring another element to the show, and that's to get some interactivity with the folks that are watching live. So what was your first knife? We talk about that kind of stuff with other things. What's your first car? What was your first gun? What was your first concert or something? What was your first knife? Was that something that was, I'm assuming it was something given to you? Or I talk to people that are different lifestyles, different life upbringings or whatever than me all the time. So, maybe people lived in homes that were knife free. Is that a thing? And then didn't get knives until they were older? I don't even know if I can answer the question. I must have gotten a knife at some point for free. What's neat about these button locks, especially with a big enough blade to be able to do it, is I can just push the blade and then just move my hand, and physics and momentum and everything pulls the blade out for me. Do the same thing to close it all the time. Rit dye? Really? I'm sure Rit dye would get the G10 colored, but is it permanent enough? I think I'd want to use, I don't know. There's feel like whatever the permanent marker version of it is. I feel like Rit dye fades out too quick. But I guess that would give you an opportunity to re-dye it or even change it. Maybe, I don't know, does it ever leach out completely with use? So it's neat watching. I don't know, trying to catch the edge on the video. It's not really working. But, when robots make these knives now, there's very little error. So it's neat to see how precise they are. They're almost like surgical tools compared to the knives when we were kids, when somebody had to hold something in front of a machine. All right, so we're getting some feedback. Thanks for joining in, everybody. Let's go through and say hey. I'm going to have to move this over where I can see it. I've got 3 monitors here, and I try to put this on the one, and I can barely see it. So again, thanks Gunwater for joining us first. Grabby Water was also here probably before the show started, and then Surveillance was out there earlier, or early in the show, I should say, as well. Then Gizzard's out there now, and is that everybody? So that's everybody. And let's see. Gizzard is saying his dad gave him a little pen knife when he was a little guy. Told him to keep it in my pocket. Still have it. I don't know if I ever was given one of those. It might be my one of my scout knives or something, which would either been a Victorinox or, the actual one that was made by, made, what was it? Branded Scouts, and I think Case made them, or I think Case made them. Krabby is saying his first knife is a Schrade LB1. So let's see if we can't figure out how to get that on the screen or something. Let's see, I can move this up and then what do I do? Click on this, I guess, and open this. Yep, and then go over here, put that behind the puppy. Open this. Oops. And then, yep, and then now we have it right there. Back of the puppy. Hopefully that didn't kill my audio. Oh, I put it on the wrong thing though. So you said it was Schrade. LB1? LB1? Okay, so essentially like a buck looking thing, but with a lanyard loop on it. That I really, really, really like. I don't know why Buck doesn't do that. They're nuts for not doing that. So I didn't even know about this Schrade model. Is this a small one? Is it like because it's a key ring? They should do that on their full size ones too, though. It says Uncle Henry. Is that what it is? LB1. Oh, this says LB1 lock back folding pocket knife. You doing all right, puppy? He's having some kind of a dream. Mello, do you want to eat this? Here, Mello, you want the rest of this? Oh, look who woke up. No matter what he's dreaming about, if the other dog is about to eat something, you can dream about that later. He's got other things. He's got more serious things to worry about. Oh, wait, hold on. Then they also have this. So what are we talking about? Because they're calling this a Schrade LB1. I call that a pen knife. But no, he's saying, yeah, tiny. So it is probably this one. Oops, not that one. This one. Yeah, that's a bad picture. But there's another picture of it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I did have something little like this, but I doubt it was a Schrade. I had like a truck stop or gas station one. I can remember being probably somewhere in like 4th to 6th grade, because I was in Scouts already, but I was a little kid, and we would go on road trips all the time in a camper, and we went past Smoky Mountain Knife Works a couple of times, because whenever you go through, that's, anytime you're going through that part of the country, there's not that many roads going east and west. You're going to go past Smoky Mountain Knife Works at some point. And I can remember dropping or saving allowances for a long time, knowing that we'd be going to Smoky Mountain Knife Works and coming out of Smoky Mountain Knife Works with like a lot of knives. So I've been buying knives for a long time. That was when I was a little kid. And they had a catalog back in the day. I wish I still had a Smoky Mountain Knife Works catalog. They were pretty awesome. There was a couple of knife catalogs since that are close to being as cool. The Smoky Mountain Knife Works was like Shotgun News. It was a big paper thing. It was like reading a whole newspaper. Let's see. Gunswater is saying first real knife was a Boy Scout knife. I think I might still I don't know if I have all my Scout knives, but it was like the blue one. It wasn't a Victorinox like with the Scout symbol on it. It was like a blue pocket knife that was by, I think, Case or somebody. And it was essentially it was like a camping knife more than a pen knife. But it was a lot like that, actually. A little bit different shape of blades, but it essentially had 3 or 4. Maybe it had an awl and no screw, but maybe a can opener. It might have had like that Schrade, but with an opener and an awl instead of one of the blades. And like stag handles or something, way bigger way thicker than a Victorinox or anything. Surveillance is saying, but get to choose the color every now and again. What? So I think you're saying that Grandpa pocket knife number one. Is that a brand? Is that a name? Is that a name? I need to open up that video so I can get some of these things. Too lazy to type all that, and it takes too long to type it wrong and everything. So let me. Are you saying that Grandpa's camp pocket like a model of a knife? I think I've heard of something like that. So let's put that in. See what we find. We'll go. What's this called? DuckDuckGo it. Has one pocket knife collection. I had Barrows, tons of those. They sold at hardware stores all the time. I'm not looking at this one. There we go. So let me get back into the focus here. I've had tons of these Barrows before. You had one of these, you're saying? Let's see. So then, still have it. Gizzard still has his. Krabby, I'm assuming you still have yours. Gunswatter. First was a post knife. Wondering if you still have it. The thing about our scout knives is they get lost, or people would steal stuff, but they get lost more often. Definitely broke because we were just new what we were doing yet, so we would break our tools. So it's possible that your first knife, I guess, you were out there, experimenting and learning with it. Let's see. So I don't know what's changed color. I don't know what that. Ron Wayne's joining us. Welcome. Talking about first knives. Gizzard is saying Smoky Mountain Knife Works still sends me catalogs. Right on. I guess I've moved and I just haven't, bought anything from a catalog in so long. We could probably do a whole show on catalogs, but Smoky Mountain Knife Works is a good one. I don't know if they're still around. There was a knife company that was just knife, not like Bud K, but it was even bigger. What the heck was that one? And then there was Sportsman's Guide. We've worked with Sportsman's Guide in the past. They're a cool company. I went up there and hung out there for like a week. They're cool. I like that company, and they have surplus. They got other stuff. They are owned by a tool company, so they definitely have a lot of work knives and stuff. Or at least, yeah, I'm sure. So they have a lot of work tools and stuff. Jomo is saying on their website you can sign up for the catalog. Yeah, the thing is, the catalog now isn't like the old days. It used to be a big newspaper thing, and there was no internet, so the catalogs meant more. I'd rather just go look at the internet now. I'm pretty much I think I've seen all the knives. Now, how many people have been to Smoky Mountain Knife Works? That's an experience. I really, really, really like it. I mean, there's nothing I don't like. I'm trying to think if there's anything I don't like about Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I guess that they don't have a place in Tucson. It would be cooler if they had a place in Tucson. But it's a massive place. If you go there ever, you look down the hill from it, that's the old one. That's when I was a little kid. That's where we went, to the big square metal building that was just down the hill. And now it's like up on closer to the road. So essentially you're going to drive across Tennessee, and Tennessee is just a squished up version of Kentucky. They're smushed next to each other like that. So you drive across Tennessee, all you got is Memphis, Nashville, and Louisville. Right. Nashville and what's the other one? Nashville and Memphis and something else. I can't think of the names of the towns in Tennessee now. But it's Nashville, right? That Dollywood is in. So you go through Nashville. That's the song one. And that's the one that's closer to the East Coast. So it's the one going east. So anyway, you're in that town, and going east from there, there's only a couple of roads that go across the mountains, I guess. The passes or the whatever they're called. And Nashville is that road. So as you come out of Nashville, it's like the second or third exit or something. Not too many exits down the road. You're going to pull off, go south, and you go quite a ways south. And then at the end of that road is Dollywood. It's like a whole amusement park for Dolly Parton. And I guess tons of people go to this giant amusement park for Dolly Parton. And on the road to there, there's like, I don't know, there's dozens. There's a fireworks place. There's dozens of wholesale, what do they call those? They're not wholesale stores, but there's like the factory stores for all these different companies, including Dutch ovens, whatever that company is called that makes the Dutch ovens. And then there's Smoky Mountain Knife Works is like in all these different stores and stuff. So it's just a crazy thing. You come out of this big city, you go down on the road to Dollywood, and then you turn off and you're in this giant knife store. But it's a knife store that starts off at the top of the hill and then goes over the hill, I guess. It's like the building is built over the side of a hill. So the building has 3 floors or 4 floors, and you just keep going up or down, and it's like built on the side of a mountain or down the side of a hill. Just a cool store. So the one thing, like the one kind of knives will be on this floor, and then you walk 3 or 4 stairs down, and then you're doing hatchets, and then you walk 3 floors down, and now you're in camping stuff, and then you walk another 4 stores or 4 steps down, and you're in the saws and stuff. So it's like these different tiers and plaques, and it's not a building, and there's no the blue. I don't know how they design that building. It's crazy, and there's just everywhere. Awesome. So anyway, the experience is what I like about Mountain Knife Works. But the catalog, I think nowadays, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it's a regular old catalog. They look like a man. See, Gunswater says we had a super cool knife club at work. Really? Like just get and chat about the knife purchases and stuff. Surveillance is saying first knife purchase was a K-bar. So I'm trying to think of what my first one I purchased would have been. I don't think I can remember that back. Something at a gun show, maybe? See, that's the thing. If you count bayonets at gun shows and then stuff for scouts I would have been buying knives for, and then I know buying my first butterfly knife took forever. Everybody thought I was going to chop my fingers off, so they wouldn't let me get one in forever. Whenever buying my first sword would have probably been cool. Oh man, I'm trying to think of like my first K-bar. I think my first K-bar was given to me. Oh, Frost Cutlery, I forgot about them. They're different because they only sell their own stuff, right? Like they build everything in their catalog, so it's a little different. And it's all cheap. Bud K, if I remember right, had some decent stuff and a lot of cheap stuff, but then also like other things that weren't knives at all. But then Smoky Mountain Knife Works had a little bit of everything. And back in the day, you couldn't get cheap all the time. Like they didn't have stores. There was no dollar stores or nothing back in the day. There was some stores that sold less expensive stuff, but most everything was either one or more brands, and that was it. Everything was a brand. So Smoky Mountain Knife Works, you could get non-branded stuff that was just sometimes quality, sometimes not, but definitely didn't have a brand on it. And it wasn't trying to copy nothing. It was just its own thing. And that was pretty neat back in the olden days, in the 80s. Because if you think about the catalogs from the 80s, if you picked up 5 catalogs, most of those catalogs were essentially the same thing. Just maybe different prices, maybe a different selection of stuff. But, 80% of the catalogs were essentially the same. They were all from the same suppliers. And Smoky Mountain Knife Works had all that, plus this extra stuff, this other stuff that made it so much cooler. From what I remember, they didn't really have too much stuff like extra stuff either. They did have some extra stuff, and when you went to the store, they certainly had extra stuff, but in the catalog, it was pretty much all just knives. I might be remembering it wrong, remembering it fondly. Gunswire saying, I still have the Boy Scout knife I had to replace a broken spring. Right on. I've had a few knives that I repair, but typically, for me at least, if I break a knife, got to buy another knife. Got to buy another knife. I usually keep the old broken one, but for whatever reason, but I buy another knife. Oh, when you're tired of the color, change to a new one. With now, I get what you're saying. We're talking about dyeing. Yeah, sort of like spray paint a tool or something. When you get sick of it, or when the paint is off, it's an opportunity to change it. Yeah, I got you. Let's see. I've never been, but Sarge lives near every few weeks. Oh man, nobody needs to go to Smoky Mountain Knife Works that many times, but nobody needs to go that many times. But that would be pretty cool. There are links out there, so if anybody wants to join in, we're about 40 minutes in. We'll probably end it up here at the top of the hour since nobody's jumping in, but I appreciate everybody being part of the show. I'm trying to think of how this is going to work as a podcast, since that's part of the experiment here, and give us some feedback if you're listening to this in the future as a podcast. When we're just talking, it's one thing, but I am trying to be a little bit more descriptive of what I'm fiddling with or what's on the screen right now. On the screen, there's the co-host who's taken up half the screen, sleeping. He's curled up like I don't know, what kind of pastry would you call him? It's not really a donut. He's some sort of a crescent roll, maybe, or a croissant. Sort of rolled up like a wrinkly croissant. Over here on this side of the screen. Sorry about that for people that don't like looking at a dog. And then on the right side of the screen, we've got a couple of Zavivis sitting out. I guess I can pull this one back out. We've got them just sitting out on top of their little cases, looking like little G10 machines right now. That's what they look like. I think these Civivis, at least these two that I'm looking at on the screen right now, the Am I Right and the Kai V. First off, they have alien sounding names, right? They sound like some kind of spaceship thing, parts or something. But these are very angular. Like they have a very, I don't know if it's modern or what the heck to call it, but very squared off. There's not very many round parts except for the cutouts. There's very few round parts on these. It's not necessarily my favorite preference or nothing, but I don't hate it. So I just said I got it. But I think I typically would prefer a little roundier knife, a little more organic shape. Hey, look who's joining us. I got Gizzard saying, hey.
Hey.
My graphic actually works out for having people in here.
Good.
All right, so talking first knives, what'd you say? That you had you said something about your dad gave you a knife set to put in your pocket?
A little teeny tiny penknife type thing. I remember it was only about like 1.25 inches long, 1.5 inches maybe. Never seen a knife that small. He said, he said, keep this in your pocket all the time. He said, that way you'll always have a knife. I couldn't have been more than 7, 8, 9 years old when he gave that to me.
Do you think he went somewhere and was like, it's time for my kid to have a knife. Give me that one knife. Or do you think it was like, oh, look at that knife. I'm going to give that to my kid, or some other, like, how do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, or something. Maybe he had, maybe he come across it in a store. He never did tell me. I never asked him. So.
And it's not something where it's like, your grandpa gave me a knife when I was 7, and I'm giving you your knife when you're 7. It's not like nothing like that either.
No, but it was the kind of knife my dad would always carry. He never carried expensive knives or anything like that. They were little folders, like probably little case knives or something like that.
Oh, that would be an interesting question. We're not going to do that this week because I've already asked a question, but what did your parents carry? Mom or dad carry? So,
well, Dad was hard on knives. Being a mechanic, he'd break the tips off of them every once in a while. Have to buy a new one. So.
All right, we're not talking about that this week. We'll talk about that next or some other show. But that is an interesting one. So then the question is, do you still got that little knife that your dad gave you?
Somewhere. I'm not real sure where I have it, but I do know it's around here somewhere.
Let's see. So then now I'm trying to figure out where I was on this thing when you jumped in. Okay, so I don't hear anybody talk about. Oh, did we say this one? I don't know if Big Q or Knives have catalogs anymore. It's expensive in a catalog, like super expensive. Oh, my signal again. When I was, like I say, I was up at Sportsman's in 2018. I went, and I mean, they had probably, if I'm like 8 to 10 people working on just the catalog. Just, it's that many people just to get all the pictures and assemble everything and make sure everything's right, edit it, and then all the production and printing. I mean, they're a company that doesn't have a brick and mortar location. Their only catalog and the internet. But that has a store also, like Smith, like Mountain. Now does Blade HQ? I think Knife Center is a store, but is Blade HQ also like a physical store?
I don't know if they have a physical store or not. I'd have to look, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's been a long since I paid attention to that. I know it was like maybe is Knife Center the place in Atlanta or someplace?
Again, I'm not real. Let's see. They're in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And yes, they do have a physical store there. Oh, no, it says no in-store shopping. Never mind. Okay, so they're just a warehouse.
Because that's a whole different thing, Then you have, well, one, it's your only one of your only contacts with the world, but then you also, you can afford to have a couple of people because there's nobody in the store. How many people you have to have in a store to have a store open all week? You probably have to have 5 people at least, just to, full-time people, just to keep that store open.
Blade HQ is out of Marion, Virginia, and they do, let's see, shop tour. Okay, so they must have a place you can visit. Okay. I know Buck does. They're
Where's
Post
Buck?
Falls, Idaho. Post Falls, Idaho.
Oh, okay. You know what they say? If you're in Idaho, you can't drop an open buck without hitting a potato.
Probably true.
Surveillance is seeing when. Oh, okay. And talking about the color change. I think we're back up here. We have the county knife store in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Oh, the country knife store in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Is that anywhere near barbecue? Who else do we know in Pennsylvania?
Let's see. Black Cat Outdoors is in Pennsylvania.
He talks about knives. I'll bet you he has knives.
Oh, yeah, I imagine so. I'm trying to think. There's some others. Midnight Range, back when he used to exist.
Do you call a pizza cutter a knife?
I really don't. I mean, I guess technically it is.
They probably gave him like one of those paring knives also, but you're right. Butter knives probably had some of those.
But yeah, Midnight Range, being a professional, gourmet chef, he knew a little bit about knives himself, but more of the, kitchen variety. But
Ronaldine is saying my first was a Wagner Swiss buck knife from my dad for Christmas one year. Still have it, well worn, but though. Okay, so that's the kind of, I call them like the more ergonomic Victorinox, right?
Yeah.
Like they got more of an interesting shape to them. Swiss buck. Is that the name of it, or is that just he's describing it like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's auto-completing, so it must be the name of it. So there was like, I forget the story. I remember hearing about the story, but what was the name of that other company? There's Victorinox, and then there was it Wagner? There was another company, and I think Victorinox just said fuck it and bought both of them, or bought them, and then they didn't kill the line because people like them and they're different. So it's like Victorinox owns both of them, or the other one owns both of them, but something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Originals.
But this is Buck.
Oh,
So
Swiss Army. There used to be a SwissArmy.com. back in the day. I don't know if they still exist or not.
This thing's pretty
Yeah.
neat.
Oh, sorry.
So this is essentially, well, it's just essentially like a Swiss Army knife made by Buck. It looks like.
Interesting.
Is that what it's saying? I mean, it says Buck on it, but I'm assuming that's what it means.
Winger Swiss Buck. Let me look. Yeah. Smartknives.com. They were produced in collaboration with Buck Knives. Okay.
Okay.
Blades and tools are similar to standard Wenger Swiss Army knives, but they have a special grooved black nylon shell with the Buck logo on it. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
kind of
actually super cool. I don't like
it
the
is
fish
cool.
scaler, but everything else on it is super cool. It's got the Swiss or the screwdriver instead of the stupid corkscrew nobody needs. It's got the awl. Doesn't have a hole in the awl. That'd be handy, but none of them did back in the day. And then I really like that can opener. That's like a useful can opener instead of the goofy like safety scissors one that Victorinox gives you. And that little knife, like there's the big knife, looks a little bit cooler than a regular Victorinox, which has that goofy, dumb looking clip point. But these have little buck looking knives, right? Look at that little one. That little one looks super neat. That looks like a useful little knife.
So you're not sharing your screen, by the way. So.
Oh, okay. So let me. Oops.
But they were produced, looks like 1991 to 1998.
All right, I'll do it the old-fashioned way, like actually share my screen instead of looking. I was just looking over the top of the dog there and didn't realize I wasn't pointing the camera. So, wow, what happened here? How did I not? I'm not used to having people in here. I guess now it's the full screen. So that's what it looks like. Well, I guess I'm doing it a dumb way. So right-click, open in a new window. Oops, that's open link in a new window. Right-click and open image in a new tab, and then hold down the control key on the keyboard and wiggle your scroll wheel, and that's how you zoom in. And I just zoomed it there, but I could go way in. I guess that's as far as I can go in. So I was saying, I don't like this part. The fish scaler drives me nuts because they're useless. This one at least has some kind of a thing going on. I don't know what this is going on at the end here, but it redeems itself to some extent. And I would have just sharpened that. Like I would have turned that into a saw because there's enough of it there. You could have done that. That's what I was saying with the can opener. To me, that can opener looks that's the kind of can opener I'm looking for. Like it's useful for more than like the other ones have like a safety scissors, like a bend to them, and this one's like actually useful for poking into stuff. Um, the awl, no big deal, but it doesn't have the hole in it. But like I was saying, none of them did back then. So or the screwdriver instead of the stupid corkscrew. This thing I could care less, but this thing I'm really digging that blade. It's not. I just like that little blade. Looks super good for cutting. And then I was saying the buck knife instead of this Victorinox. I would have totally taken this one over a Victorinox back in the day because half the Victorinox also had the stupid fish scaler in them. And then I can handle it. The only problem I have here is that these things usually aren't strong enough, and you might depend on it erroneously. And I'd rather put something stronger on there right away. But it is better than just having nothing, I guess.
Yeah, it's a
So,
pretty neat looking knife.
yeah, I dig it. Another
Swiss
big thing.
import.
Oh, is it? They just so I guess what they got the blade shape from Buck. I figured Buck made it.
No, they were manufactured in Switzerland, and then Buck basically imported them into the United States.
Oh, Buck's job was to sell them here.
Right.
So putting their name on it to help sell it, and then giving them the blade shape so people would like it and it look different than a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, evidently Buck sold these.
Okay, that makes more sense then, I guess. Sort of like when Smith and Wesson and who was it, Walther, did some collaboration. Oh, there it is next to. Oh, that's a different one. Anyway, yeah, that's cool. I don't know if I must have seen these before, but I've never paid any attention. I guess I've never known anybody. I've never known one's ever handed me one to play with it or anything. Oh, look, there's different ones.
Yeah, there's a site called sakwiki.com, which is kind of a Swiss Army knife wiki, and it's got a whole page on the Swiss buck knives. I'm sitting here looking at it now. It's got the whole history and every model that was sold and everything.
Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. So they're just like a Victorinox. Look at all of them. There's a whole bunch of different ones. I was looking at the fishing one, I imagine, but there's other ones. Like this one's super good. It's got everything you'd ever want. The two knives, the
Oh,
good
yeah.
thing. It's got pliers and scissors. I'm done. That's everything I want. I don't even want.
Heck yeah.
Let's get a file. I take a file. They could keep the pliers, I guess, and give me a file. But I do like having a little set of pliers. Even back in the day, those things were handy. I'm probably missing stuff because I've been sitting here farting around halfway back in the comments. But yeah, that was a good one. That was Ron Wayne's, right? Yeah. Saraville, Tennessee. Oh man, that brings back memories. That's where, what do you call it? Smoking Out Knife Works is, I think. Outlets,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what they're called.
Yeah, Sevierville. Yeah, that's right around where Dollywood is and all that stuff. So
So you haven't been there then?
no, it's
Oh,
it's on my bucket list.
okay. I was going to ask.
I got to take a phone call real quick. I'm sorry about that.
Oh my goodness, how rude. Can you imagine? I got to start the show over. I'm going to turn it off. We'll start it all over again. Sorry about that, everybody. Let's see. I haven't been to Case or Zippo yet. Oh, they're in Pennsylvania too. I forgot. Right? Wait, is Case and Zippo the same company? Or are you just saying they're next to each other? Um, let's see. Because they're just saying near me, best I can do is Shields. They have a good size knife selection. Cabela's has some, but not that. Really? Cabela's doesn't have that many? Hold on. Gotta remember Cabela's. Yeah, Cabela's is as big as a Bass Pro, right? Bass Pro and Cabela's. Yeah, they got a huge knife selection. Those guys are crazy. He must have been getting called by his crazy doctor because he's crazy. Um, and then Shields. I'm trying to remember. I've only been to two Shields, I think, and I was looking at the guns, and I kind of remember if I walked through the knives, I just maybe assumed their knife collection was pretty decent. But Shields are giant stores. If you haven't been to one, they have a Ferris wheel inside. I don't know if they all have a Ferris wheel. I guess they don't all have a Ferris wheel. The one I went to had a Ferris wheel inside the store, so it's got all kinds of different amusement things and food and popcorn, and it's a pretty it's a giant store. Um, it's like you back now.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
You're talking about. Are you saying Cabela's doesn't have a good knife selection?
They really don't. No, it's just a small section off
Oh,
towards
no.
the knife counter or over towards the firearms, but it's really not all that big. I
I
didn't
mean, I
think.
guess I've been to a lot of Bass Pros. Have I though? I've been past a lot of Bass Pros. I don't guess I don't go into all of them. I have been to more than one. I've been to the Pyramid Bass Pro actually, and I'm trying to remember what the Pyramid Bass Pro had for knives. Pyramid Bass Pro is actually messed up. You've been to that one, the one in Memphis?
No, I haven't.
It's the bottom of the pyramid is this Bass Pro, but they made like a lake in there, so there's like these bridges and stuff. So it's like going to Disneyland or something, and then making it a giant knife or a giant sporting goods store. So you go across an island, and now you're hanging out in the clothes, and then you go across another bridge, and now you're hanging out in the guns, and then you go across another bridge, and you're by the fishing boats. So it's hard to remember what's in that store anymore. But most Bass Pros have a pretty impressive selection of knives, and I thought that the Cabela's were just as impressive. I'm trying to
It
remember.
could be that the Cabela's I go to is one of their smaller stores.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Maybe they are different. Like maybe they
Yeah,
adjust
they
it
are.
what people buy. Because I
Like,
think it might be a fishing thing. Like maybe more fishing people buy them, or more hunters buy knives. Or I don't know.
yeah.
But you think a lot of people are hunting in Kansas.
I I just like a nice place. Like if you go to Shields, they've basically got anything you'd care to look for there. Uh, so, but they don't have the offbeat things like Smoky Mountain might carry. I mean, they've got brands that other stores, they're exclusive brands that they work with and stuff like that. So, plus, I mean, if the word knife is in your name, you kind of expect big things out of a store. At least I do.
Speaking of Mr. Knives, good morning.
Ooh,
Ron Wayne is saying, bought my first Barlow at Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Man, I could spend days in there. So back in the old days, it was this big. I wonder if there's pictures on the internet of the old Smoky Mountain Knife Works instead of me.
oh, this isn't the original.
No. Back in the old days. Well, I'm going to see if I can. Let's do a couple of things here. So first, we'll go to the Google map because all the other maps are lame. So if we go to the Google map and open it, right there's Tucson. We're zooming out, and now we're gonna just take a little trip over here to. So it's Nashville and Knoxville. I never get the vills. Here's something, states, don't name your two biggest cities Ville, because half of us can't keep track of all your vills. So you go to Knoxville, and then you come out of here to, pretty sure it's this road right here, right? You come out and you come down. Now we're going to flip it to this mode. So like I'm saying, you're driving quite a ways down to get to Dollywood. Dollywood's way down here.
It's a little bit south of where you are.
Whoa, is it darkened? There we go. So it's way down there. And this is the Appalachia. Is that what it's called? So there's trees.
Smokies, isn't it?
I would go all those woods. They're all flat, but there's trees everywhere though. I had no idea there was such a big river right there. But you'd think we'd said Smoky Mountain.
There it is.
No, that says Smoky Mountain Water Park. Because Smoky Mountains, probably. But that's why they call it Smoky Mountain Knife Works, too.
Yeah.
But it's closer to the road. I think I'm just way farther down.
You get close to Sevierville there. So.
But you get the idea that there's a lot of, well, maybe you can't get the idea, but there is a lot of stuff on this road. And I'll just type in Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Oh, I probably should type knife, since everything's going to be named.
Probably.
Smoky Mountain, right? Knife Works Lane.
They got their own street. How about that? Aha. There it is.
Okay. So, from what I remember, that's Bud's Gun Shop. Oh, interesting.
I've heard of that before.
Yeah, I had no idea that they were next door to it. They weren't when I went there, I don't think, or else I'm an idiot. But see this big building? Oh, this is a pretty uninteresting version.
Can you go to Street View?
Yeah, I will, because this isn't all that fun. Sometimes these are more three-dimensional. But there's this building in the back there, and that's what, at least as far as I understand, that's
okay.
The old Smoky Mountain. So what the heck? Am I dropping my little dude or what? My computer's glitching. But this gives you an idea. That's how big the new building was. But the old building wasn't nothing to scoff at. It was a big building.
Okay.
The river, too. Yeah, I don't know. My thing glitched.
It's got to be a pretty area. I really want to visit someday.
It's terrain. Like, you don't get a lot of terrain back east. But it does go up and down here. And there's some sort of a zip line and stuff. So there's, okay, now we're getting to street.
Boy, there's something wrong with that bridge going across that river, according to...
Yeah, that's like I'm saying, this is the weirdest three-dimensional rendering. It's like, definitely got warped. I wonder if it's because so many people look at this. Whoa, got time warped. So from what I remember, you come in, and I'm pretty sure that building over there is the old Smoky Mountain Knife Works. And so when I was a little kid, you'd come over here, and it was nothing. There was nothing around here. It was like you were just driving in the middle of nowhere, and then you pulled over, and then there was this giant building. It was like going to a fireworks place. It was exactly like going to a fireworks place back in the day, like a good fireworks place. And that's
Okay.
probably the old sign and stuff.
Uh
So
huh.
essentially, you went in there, and it was like going to a gun show once you were in there. It was just tables. And it was like every kind of table they could afford to buy, just any in Tennessee wasn't bolted down in this room, giant big. It was just knives piled on the table. It would show if it was just one vendor. Internet again. It's like going to a gun show, just one vendor. The tables were there. Just went in there with a shot. It was amazing to hear, and so you could just look and see everybody in the building, everything. And I remember this a million years. And it was like their bear stuffed, you know, he up to stand and so you couldn't see across the whole building because there was stuff in there and displays and that kind of thing. But essentially, you're just going through like an entire. Was that a Kmart? That was a Kmart back in the old days. It was like going through a big superstore with bin cart and knives. The only thing that it would vary from knives would be axes and maybe a saw here and there. But everything in there had a blade. Beef jerky. There was no meat. Like it was just maybe their sharpening stone. Am I losing that? I can't even see.
You're roboting a little bit, yeah.
I'll let you take over and I'll quit sharing the screen and see what happens.
It looks like, according to their website, Smoky Mountain Knife Works was started in 1978. They've outgrew two buildings before they built their present location.
Might be remembering the square building, and that just happens to be a square building. It might have been sitting on the same place that the new one is. Like, I don't know. I was a little kid when I went there.
They
But
have 1.5 million guests visit their showroom every year. Wow.
and now you'd go there just even if you didn't like knives that much, you'd go there because it's a fun store. Like I say, it's like I call it like an indoor Ewok village because there's so many terraces and places. People that have been there tell me if I'm wrong. It's it because you'd have to go there like 3 or 4 times before you figured out where everything was because nothing's it's bad enough on a store where everything's on the same level, but I mean it's kind of built on a hill or something. So some stuff is down at the bottom, but you're not really going up or down. You're not. There are elevators, but there's more stairways because you're not going straight up or down. You're going like there's places where you could get to there's a lot of balconies so you can get to places and like jump down to the next level. Anyway, it's hard to describe, but it's really an interesting place just to hang out. They definitely know that people are coming to hang out and made it a cool place to hang out and browse and whatever. I don't know.
That's
I
a
just
good idea. I mean,
and there's probably food. I didn't even think about it,
oh, I'm
but
sure.
there's probably food and stuff in there. And it's definitely the kind. Well, you know what it is. It's the people are going to Dollywood, so people are probably driving there. Nobody's flying to Dollywood, so you've been driving. You're looking for an excuse to get out of the car. There's all these other things to do, so it's a road trip type of destination. Uh, it's got that kind of customer, plus all the people that are just knife uh, hounds or whatever, knife people that are making that trip to Smoky Mountain Knife Works just to do it.
And when you're done looking at that, I guess you could just go across the street to Bud's gun shop and go look around there too.
Yeah, I wonder how long that's been there. I'm an idiot if it was there because we looked at the right in front of Bud's Gun Shop and next to Smoky Mountain is the Dutch oven place. I forget what the company is called that makes Dutch ovens, but the main one is it Lodge or something. That's their outlet store, and I know we went over there because Haas wanted to look through. I'm like, what are we dragging around Dutch ovens? Like, you can get a Dutch oven anywhere. I don't want to drag around Dutch ovens the whole country. I was giving them shit that you wanted to go look at Dutch ovens, like halfway through a month-long trip. But so I know we went to that place for a little bit, and I think we would have seen a giant Bud's gun shop right behind it, because I think Bud's gun shop must have existed in 2012, didn't it?
Not sure.
I mean, that was a long time ago. I think this was 11 years ago now. So I guess the last time I was at Smoky Mountain was 11 years ago. I should go back again.
You should go. Yeah.
I'm down. I'd go back. My van's running awesome right now. I could bring back a van full of shit.
It's funny you were talking about Dutch ovens. About 5, 6 years ago, I was in my local gun shop in the town I used to live in, and some old boy had a horse trailer that he had a bunch of stuff he was trying to barter to buy guns and gun parts, and he had a bunch of cast iron cookware. And my gun dealer actually went out and bought some of the stuff off of him, and he put it in a store and traded it, and the guy bought some guns and stuff with it. So he thought he could resell that stuff in his gun shop. So
I
evidently the people that are interested in guns are also interested in stuff like that too. So,
Well, I've made a lot of money on cast iron stuff. Like, I had no idea, and I stumbled into it at first, and then was like, "Oh, I might as well try selling this instead of throwing it away," right? And then I was like, "Holy crap, it's worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars." So now that I know what to look for, you can find stuff. I'm not going to say, because it's one of my ways to make money. But if you know me,
right.
let me know and I'll tell you. But certainly, essentially, I've stumbled across a thing, and then once I got into it, I'm not saying everything made of cast iron is worth something, but you can imagine there's definitely collectors and stuff that, yeah, stuff that breaks or stuff that just gets used up because it's a commodity item that are of value still. People use them and stuff because it's, I think, well, one, they put stuff on their wall, but people still like to use the stuff. There's probably a lot, especially this time of year, like, let's make, I don't know, think of the thing that's made out of cast iron. I mean, so much food, but let's make that food that grandma made the way grandma made it. Well, we're never going to make it that way in an aluminum or a glass pan. It's just never going to happen. You need to get cast iron, and if you're going to get cast iron, you might as well actually, you can, it's eBay, you can still get the stuff grandma used from some other grandma, right? So
Right.
there's that. And there's the thing is that the people that do that are willing to pay. I mean, I'm not even kidding, there's $800 cast iron pots out there. And I mean, I wish I knew
Oh
all
yeah.
the reasons why. I guess people just value that tradition or that food that much. But mostly it's like intricate little muffin tins or something, something that's maybe regional or something. I don't know. Maybe some company only made so many of them. That must be part of it. Anyway, yeah. So cast iron, I could totally see if somebody had a bunch of cast iron and they were like, either didn't know what it was or, did know what it was and was just offering a good deal. Somebody like a gun shop, been in enough gun shows and stuff, you probably have some experience to know when something's worth something or not.
So it turns out Bud's gun shop has 3 locations, and their main one is in Lexington, Kentucky. But so that's just one of their 3 locations over there in Sevierville.
All right. I might even remember something now that you said that. I might remember having heard people say, like, "Oh, there's a new Bud's gun shop opening. How cool!" Or like, "Wow, there's another new Bud. Now there's 2 Bud gun shops or something." That was years ago, though, so it's hard to remember. Uh,
Ozzy says estate sales is a good way to pick up cast iron cookware.
oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm definitely. That's the kind of stuff that people don't know. What, like, the grandkids don't know the value of what grandparents had.
Mm-hmm.
Jomo was saying I was really into knives for a while. I got up to around 300, then was buying $500 knives. So I went back to guns. Yeah, that's tough. Like, I can't count how many knives I have because I have a ton, literally a bunch of them. But yeah,
The
it's
thing
not.
is, you
The thing is,
can,
when you got a $30 thing, who cares if you have 2 of them? Like, okay, now I have 3 of them. Big deal.
right?
$30 thing. It doesn't seem like that big a deal. And as soon as you got $130 things, you're like, okay, But unless you need the money, they're not going. Unless they're rusting, there's nothing happening to them. You might as well just leave them. So I think they tend to accumulate without much urgency to get rid of them, right? Unless you got
You can store a lot of knives in a fairly small area, so it's not like guns where you have to keep buying huge safes to keep them in and stuff like that.
yeah,
Knives
super
don't
good
take up
point.
that much room.
And I don't know about you. I've known a lot of people who, as they, well, it's something that we get. I don't know. I'm assuming a lot here. As a person who grew up with guns, I've known people who were teenagers and had their guns that they had when they were kids, and then whatever guns they're buying, right? We don't have a ton of money, even though we get older. We don't just automatically have money. But usually it's like, oh, I got to go hunt, so I'm getting a new gun, or into sports or something, I'm going to get a new gun, or the new gun came out, I'm going to get a new gun. Not everybody I know has been a gun person their whole life, but they've accumulated a bunch of guns just living life and doing stuff. So, then they get a safe. Well, then you get enough guns that, you get married or you get kids or something, and you got more need for a bigger safe. So you get a bigger safe. That's that safe that you grew out of, right? So that's what I'm getting at. Like, everybody I know has been gun owners our whole life. So as if we were into guns and we got accumulated guns to where we got a second safe, I mean, I can't even think of how many people I know are in that situation, like lots. And that means that they all did something with that second safe, and very few of them got rid of it. They usually start using it for something else, right? Some
Right.
people put ammo in there, but then that's one of those things that, yeah, like you're saying, like knives are so much smaller. Like, I know people that keep all their knives and stuff, along with everything else, in watches and other things that they value, in like their old gun safe. The smaller one, or the lockers, the things that you buy when you're younger, right? The smaller safes. Those are great for, especially the in-wall safes and stuff. Everybody should buy an in-wall safe, by the way. If you want an Amazon link, I'll give you Amazon. I should probably start throwing some Amazon links out there. But you know what I'm saying? When you're growing up through your safes, then your old safes become a great place to keep a knife around.
And
Speaking
now
of,
you can buy these special cases for your knives they're kind of like big toolboxes, except they got foam on the inside, and you can have little individual places. I've seen them that hold like 100 knives or more, and people a lot of times on a road trip will carry every knife they got to a show and stuff, and that's pretty easy to do with knives. I mean, try doing that with your guns sometime.
probably so, well, actually, yeah. If you're checking a knife, a bag, if you're checking a bag full of knives into the belly of a plane, they'd care less, right? It's not like a gun. You got to worry about
Right.
the value, somebody ripping them off or
Yeah,
whatever.
you'd want to be able to lock it up and stuff, but as far as regulations go, it's not near the same. So,
So I threw a link out there to my Amazon list of like 74 knife videos. Do you got a curation for knife videos?
yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. Let me
Throw
go
that
look.
out there. So when you go look at these things, feel free. Please thumb them up if you would. That helps both of us out. Gizzard is going to put his link out there. And then if you're going to be then for Black Friday, links, Clover's got links, Snob's got links, Gear Report has links. Other people out there have links that you might, people that you're in, or like. Yeah, keep in mind if you're going to be doing Black Friday stuff, we'd definitely appreciate it if you use our links. It doesn't cost you a dime, just takes you the time it takes to figure it, go do it. But when you use those links, Amazon gives us a cut, and it's just a bigger cut. They like it, or they like us to drag people over for Black Friday, so it helps our accounts out, we think. So yeah, we do appreciate that. Um, So I say something else about that? I don't think so. So I'm gonna keep going with the trying to find the comment again. We're definitely behind on comments, or I'm definitely behind on comments. Or so went back to guns. So did you get rid of the knives? Question mark. And then because that's the thing, I know a lot of times people kind of go back and forth on stuff or hobbies or what's their what they're focused on. So you get a bunch of knives because you're into them, and then oh, I do need a new AR. So it's like you sell off maybe a type of knife or maybe some brand or whatever, and then oh no, I don't have anywhere near that anymore because I got I started what you call
Yeah.
shuffling that investment or
I
well,
don't think.
like you say, sometimes you can just take your knives to the gun shop and go, hey, where are we at with trade here? I'll give you this pile of knives. What am I
I've
trading?
tried that. He didn't want to offer me anywhere near what I thought the knife was worth. So I told him I was just going to keep it. And he looked at me. He says, yeah, you think, I think that's what I'd do too. It's worth more as a keepsake than it is, for trade. So
Well, you
some
figure
I'm
this
sure.
thing is worth $70, or let's say $75, or whatever, $70, and then you walk into a gun shop and you're buying it used. What do you expect to pay for it? Like 30, maybe 40, maybe, but you're not going to expect to pay just under, full price. You're going to expect to get a significant discount, even if it's lightly used, right? But if it's used at all, like you're not going to expect to pay anywhere near full price. So if you expect that gun shop to stay in business, if this let's say call it an $80 knife or $75 knife, if they're going to sell it for 40, then they got to buy it off of you for 20. So it's not that they hate you. It's just that there's no way that they, if they bought it off of you for 50, then to be in business, they'd have to sell it for 100 and the knife's only worth 75.
Right.
So now they got to take some slight cut. And what is their, if they sell it, if you bought off of you for 50, it's worth 75. What are they going to sell it for 60? And now people are like, oh yeah, that's the gun shop that has stuff that's like used, but slightly under, like, what I mean? They want to be known as the gun shop that like when something's used, it's clearinghouse. Like you sell it used or you see it used, you better buy it because it's not going to be there next week because the prices are so good. Like that's how a shop stays in business, at least, because customers come in and buy. But
Sure.
if you're trying to run a museum, then yeah, you're going to buy stuff at just under full price. So I'm not trying to justify somebody's trying to screw you or nothing, but I understand that from being at the shop for so long that people were like, I paid 100 for this. I'd like to get 75 for it. Like, yeah, sure, everybody fucking would, but you're never going to be able to sell it for 75. You could sell it for 50, which means I can give you 25. And I'm being a little bit sloppy there with the numbers, but you get the idea.
Right.
Um, but anyway, but I'm saying a big pile of knives because I've done it before with big piles of collections. It's frustrating what you'd like to get. You also, I always look at it as I'd rather get rid of this and then reinvest or whatever, should be over to something else, other thing. And I don't want these things anyway. So some of it is like you're helping me get rid of these things. And then I'd like to think that I don't know about knives so much, but like when I get rid of old revolvers or something, um, instead of just selling them to somebody on Facebook or something, I'm selling them to a shop that, I know somebody's going to come in or a bunch of people are going to be able to see these and hopefully it's going to go to a good home, somebody like help fill a collection, I guess you should say, instead of just sitting on somebody's shelf who's like a person who acquires something, at least for a collector. I don't know. Maybe that's a whole nother thing, another just topic for another show. People that collect and what they, why they collect and how they collect. Blade HQ is in Colorado. Oh, interesting. I wonder if I've been near there. They equal or exceed gun price. Well, I guess I can see. I mean, certainly if it's somebody whose time is into it and they're going to take them time or they have some skill, I can see that being expensive. When it's a machine-made knife, then the materials usually bring up the price, right? Or like some intricate process. But for the most part, yeah, I'm not I'm not investing anything in knives. If I don't get them, I find half of my fun with knives is getting a good deal. I
Right.
mean, there's knives I'd like to have, but I don't care about going out and paying full price for them. I mean, I'll if I can get a good deal on a knife, like I'll be way more interested than if I just went out and bought it. Actually, I just don't go out and never buy them. The only reason I go out and buy a knife is if somebody said, "Hey, we're going to Alaska, all expenses paid tomorrow. Here's a list of things you have to have." And there was some knife I didn't own on that list. I guess I'd have to go buy that knife. But so far in my life, that's never happened to me.
Now, one of the fun things you can do if you ever get the chance to go to NRAM is all of your major knife companies usually have knives for sale. And you can go buy the latest buck or the latest Civivi or stuff like that, and
Really?
usually at a little bit of a discount from their MSRP.
I never paid attention. I thought it was more like, we'll sell what we have here or something. I didn't
It
realize it was
is.
like just
I mean, they brought a number of knives to the show, but usually, from my experience, it's not cut rate prices, but they're a little bit of a discount.
Oh, I
And
got you. Sort of like on the shelf or like the demo
mhm.
model cost. I thought you meant like they had like shelves, like a store, like where you
No,
can just,
no, no.
oh, let me get two of these. Okay, I got you.
But I did that with Civivi last year, and I picked up a couple knives I'd been wanting. And so, if you ever get a chance to do something like that, maybe that's something you might like to do. If you like lots of different companies, want to see what they got. 'Cause unlike SHOT Show, where the general public can't get in and there's nothing for sale, NRAM's a completely different thing. So,
So Gunwater saying there's a ton of Pennsylvania YouTube channels.
oh yeah,
Yeah, it's a big state. Yeah, there are. There's Richard Ives checking in.
we woke him up. Oh no,
Oh, we keep saying knives all the time. What's he
ah,
gonna do?
that's right.
Let's see. So I didn't realize when I was looking at that one that there isn't. I didn't realize there's a ton of them. So Ron Wayne is saying his didn't have the corkscrew. Right on. The corkscrew can hold a screwdriver or the fire starter or a ferro rod. We didn't have ferro rods when I was a little kid, but that's true. I never thought about being able to jam a rod into there. Fire starter, nobody ever thought about that either, but that would have been interesting to wad something up into the corkscrew. They did come out with that little gray thing that twists into the corkscrew, this little screwdriver, but that was like when I was in high school or something like that. It was way after I was a little kid. Plus, we would have lost it. There's no way we would have had
Right.
that in more than about 5 minutes as a little kid. But his was like that, he said, without the fish scaler. Thought it was an olive fork. Yeah, exactly. It's for shrimp, the shrimp fork. Ozzy's joining us. I wonder if Ozzy's ever done any knife scabbards. He must have. He's a what would you call that? A leatherist. He's a leatherist. So I'm wondering if he's ever done any knife stuff. And I'm wondering if that's what he started with, and I already know this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Trying to
Sure, you
remember
would think
when.
that'd be easy enough to do. If you could do one, you could do the other, I'd think.
Right, but I'm trying to remember the first time. I don't think I can remember the first time Ozzy was like, "Hey, here's a holster." But I kind of remember the first time Ozzy did that. I'm pretty sure I was there. At least there was a time when Ozzy made his first holster and he was showing it to people, and the first time I was aware of it, right? Like whenever that happened. But now I'm trying to remember if before that, if he was showing us knife stuff. He'll tell us.
Hopefully, he's still in here. Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, that was an hour ago, right? Let's
He
see, I'm
said, no,
recording this.
haven't needed one. Oh, okay.
Okay. There have been other knife leatherists, leather people. So, do you remember the one in Texas? And then there was the one in Arizona. Everybody had their own style, did their own things or whatever. But anyway, Mike White's out there saying, "Hey." Ozzy was saying earlier, my best and most trusted knife is a Buck 192 Vanguard. I got it in the 90s. So let's go take a look at that one.
Yeah.
Do you know that one?
Not right off the top of my head.
Okay. So
Uh,
I still got my internets open over here. So it was a
it's
Buck
a good looking little knife. Okay.
192 Vanguard. The internet has confirmed it exists. And oh, it's a sheath knife? 192. Oh, that's super nice. I wish Buck wasn't a bunch of jerks to me because they do make a nice looking knife like this. Yeah, there's nothing you don't like about this. If you don't like brass, I guess you could not like this.
No, it's pretty classy looking knife.
USA. Yeah. I mean, it looks like it's good looking right off the bat. Nobody's going to get scared of it, but at the same time, everybody knows that's a knife. but the shape and everything, I like the blade. I like the handle. I mean, personally, I'd rather have it be not shiny, but I could care less. It's not going to be shiny after a couple of months of using it.
Right.
Nice. I like that one. And back in the 90s, this, your other option would have been some kind of a less interesting rubber. Like the rubber wasn't nothing like the rubber we have today. It would have been a much more like tool like rubber. So this would have been a much classier, much like nicer knife to have around.
He says that's his hunting knife. Yeah, most people who hunt carry some sort of fixed blade knife with them.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Good chunk of blade. What do you think about this area here? This is, I would call it like K-bar-ish, because a K-bar
Yeah, that would be what you'd
World
call
War
a
II rifle.
sharpening choil, I believe. That's allows a little bit of an area where you can get in and sharpen it.
You're
That's
talking
not
like
really
this.
a finger choil so much.
Yeah, no, I think, are you talking about this little tiny,
Yeah,
let's zoom in
yeah, the
here.
gap is called a choil.
This whole gap or this little piece at the end of the blade?
Oh, well, what I've heard it referred to as the area, the area in between where you can put your finger and stuff like that. But that gap is, from what I've been led to believe, put there to make it easier to sharpen the blade.
Oh, see, I think that's when they're talking about this little piece here. This, I think, is just for the sheath so that when it's in the sheath, if you've got blade all the way out to here, then it's essentially what's going on with that sheath. Like that's blade wants to cut the sheath. Now, when you've got that leather sheath coming up here and wrapping, and something starts yanking on it, it's like a screwdriver rolling around in there. Like nothing here is cutting the top of your sheath. That's what I thought it was for. But
You
I've
could
never
be
had
right.
anybody tell me that. I mean, I just assumed that. I never had anybody tell me that.
I'm not the
Um,
world's authority on knives
but
by any means. I've been learning stuff over the last few years.
But that's sort of like all of the World War II era knives have this. Like all knives had this for the longest time, and then all of a sudden you start seeing people be like, "I don't care. I don't care about no rules." And they just do whatever they want. And now all of a sudden you see knives that are, I mean, daggers and stuff would have blades that went down, but so many knives back in the day had this. And maybe it's just a traditional thing. Maybe it's just a look. Doesn't have to always be a use to something. Some people are like, it reminds me of a buck. What is it? A Bowie knife, because those were so popular for so long. I mean, it is kind of a Bowie style to some
Yeah, a
extent.
little smaller version of one.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an offshoot, but I mean, you could tell it kind of comes from there. But so many
Everybody ought
other
to have a Bowie
knives.
knife.
So there's some of the thing. Let me go back to opening that in a new tab. I guess I can close these search windows, but that was one, two. See what we got going on here? Three. No, this was three, right? Open a new tab. So we've got three. We can get one more knife in here, and then we'll have a knife off. We're not like the other chats that timidly just look at your stuff. We're going to have a knife off. So we need one more knife. We may already have it. We're still way behind in the chats over there. So we'll just leave it on a knife. We don't have nothing on our screens anyway. So what do you think of this one? Were you in here when we were looking at this one?
No,
So what do you think of these?
that's a classic looking old knife there. I like it.
I wish Buck was saying, I wish Buck could put these things on. I really, whatever you call, oh, hold on, let me get this one out of here. Whatever you call this thing, the lanyard, the loop, or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
really dig that. I like it. All right,
Yep.
so that Buck 192 has dressed out a lot of deers. Looks like the kind of knife that could do that and keep getting sharpened. I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
hearing somebody. I can't remember where I heard this. Somebody was saying something about it, but they'd bought some knife off of somebody, and the design of the knife was so goofy that they had to send it back to the designer every time they wanted it sharpened, because everybody who they would take it to would go, "I'm not sharpening this. This is ridiculous." So it was just a goofy, curvy knife or whatever. So
And
Uh,
sometimes it might be worth that just to get it right.
well, I'm just saying it's nice when a knife isn't like that because then you don't have to be, confined to that. Like you can just sharpen it. You don't have to worry about it. It just works. Mike White is saying they have that many people visiting because there's nothing else to do in the Smokies. It's not though. There's so much to do. There's at least a fireworks place, and I remember the zip line place seemed kind of interesting because you zip line across that river valley, and then, or I don't know, somewhere into that river valley or something. But there's nothing but amusements down that road, and then there's
Yeah,
that gun shop next door.
it's very pretty country.
Well, I mean, yes, but at the same time, you had to drive through all that country to get to that
Oh
country,
yeah,
so you're kind of sick of that country by the time you get to that country. But yeah, I mean, and during fall, it's probably insane at fall, right? That's got to be the kind of place where, or I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I'm guessing there's probably some deciduous trees there. I don't think those mountains are tall enough to be pine trees like out here.
no, probably not.
As I know, north of there's a lot of the tree thing, but I think people still they go to the whole Smokies for trees. They don't. It's not just the northern Smokies for trees. But I don't know. You don't. Well, you must. Maybe you just don't hear about people taking road trips. Vermont and stuff hogs all the road trip uh, lore. Ron saying a road trip. We need to do a road trip. We need to do a more like I would rather do a what's that thing called? The Cannonball Run. I'd rather do a rally, something where there's challenges and adventures to be had, and then when you get there, you talk about your adventures and compare notes, and then make some kind of an adventure. I think there's something to that. We have the internet. We have people that pay attention to what people do. We got people that like to do stuff that other people pay attention to. Pretty much everybody knows how to drive. I think gas isn't a fortune yet. How come we're not doing cannonball runs? Like it makes no sense to me. I've seen
That's
people
true.
copy my idea. I keep throwing it out there. I've been throwing it out there for years. I tried doing it by driving around the country. I finally got out of debt. Finally, I'm out of most of my debt from driving around the country. Thanks to the people that purchase stuff on Amazon. So thanks for purchasing stuff on Amazon. And we're eventually going to get to where hopefully we'll have some more road tripping, but have like Wanamaker be the destination, and everybody comes from all different areas to Wanamaker, like a big spider, or maybe like a big, no, I guess spider, window cracking. I don't know what to call that besides spider. It's just a big spider, right? Everybody comes into Wanamaker though, and then I don't know, like that'd be interesting actually. Snob would actually be at the disadvantage for once with Wanamaker. If the goal
Hmm.
was like how many gun shops could you visit on the way to Wanamaker, or like, every gun shop gives you 5 points, every museum gives you 10 points, every range gives you 10 points. Like come up with some system, and then if a person took a week to get there, then they're going to collect a lot of points. If they're like Snob and they wake up and they roll out of bed and they're at Wanamaker because he's a jerk, then he doesn't get as many points. He'd probably cheat, right? He'd probably cheat by like going to like 4 gun shops on the way in or something.
And he probably could. Yeah.
Yeah, he would just he'd cheat by taking a different way in each time and hit like 4 different shops each time.
Yeah, because there's so many different ways to get into Tulsa.
Go past that um, Wool Rock and get a museum in.
Oh, yeah. I could do
Sneak,
that on the way down if I took a different road.
sneak over to Oklahoma City and get like 4 museums. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Now you're going to have to overshoot Tulsa a little bit to get down to Oklahoma City. But
You could get up early and do it though. So I'm saying
you
he'd cheat.
could.
You could do it. And then he'd probably film a video and get paid to go over there by dropping something off or picking something up along the way. Let's see. So then we get estate sales is a good way to pick up cast iron. Yep, you said that earlier. A good set can cost thousands. I didn't even think about a set. I was just thinking about the individual pieces I find. They're essentially antiques, so I think of them as antiques, but I think people clean them up and use them. But I think it's that same kind of thing. Like, oh, these are just like what Aunt Carol made or whatever. Like, we got to have that pan.
Now, I don't know if you subscribe to Paul Harrell's channel or not.
I never watched that guy.
That
I know
he
people
has
talk about him.
He has done like Thanksgiving specials and stuff where he's shown how to cook stuff over a campfire in the cast iron Dutch ovens. I guess there's an art to how you cook with those things and stuff like that. He's actually shown baking cakes and stuff like that in them. So it's kind of an interesting sideline to his channel.
Oh, so you haven't cooked with Dutch with cast iron stuff?
Not out on a campfire and stuff like that. Well, the closest I came, I had a cast iron skillet that I had with me camping, and I cooked bacon and eggs in it for breakfast.
Oh, you got a pretty good taste to it then. I mean, you can imagine it just holds heat so much better, and
Well, it
it
worked perfect.
distributes the heat.
Yeah,
Yeah. So when you bake with it, I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. There's certainly you have to learn it. I just thought, as back in the day, everybody was in scouts, and that was one of the things that at least people had experience. Watching somebody bake in it. Not everybody felt like it. Not everybody was good at it or whatever. But it's definitely easier to bake in cast iron than it is to bake in aluminum or something on a fire. Because the fire's so uneven.
well, I
Let's see.
didn't realize on those big Dutch ovens they had a lid that was designed. If you wanted to, you could put coals up on the lid also, and have heat from above and heat down below. So,
How about, have you ever seen this then? When we were cooking at camp, like at summer camp or something, or maybe just at like every once in a while in scouts, we'd have a jamboree where a bunch of troops would get together and maybe 10 troops would get together and compete during the weekend on something. So on the Saturday
there
night or
you
something, there's
go.
going to be a big giant cookout. So what Dutch ovens are awesome for is, like you're saying, you can stack them, right? So you just make a fire pit, or you make a fire and you get a bunch of coals going. You need some under the first one, then in the middle, in the middle, in the middle. And the way that it distributes heat, that's cooking like, a bunch of meals all at once. And so we'd have, depending on how many people were showing up and how much stuff is going on, it's not unusual at all to see stacks of Dutch ovens like this. And that's like this one, this get incrementally smaller or whatever. That's one of the reasons they sell them in sets like that.
That's pretty impressive. Wow.
Yeah. So once you get cooking with them, like I say, I'm not saying it's easy, but once you're familiar with them, it's like driving. It's like, you got to know what you're doing. Once you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. And you can do this kind of thing with them too. You can still so imagine like a broiler where you've got some heat underneath, but now you load the top with coals. Like you can cook the shit out of a pizza with this thing. Like that can be a lot of fun. And anyway, yeah, Dutch ovens cooking is, it's one of those things where sometimes, like I say, like you'd have a troop and like maybe one of the dads or somebody back in the day, no moms would come out to scouts. It was all dads and stuff. So, somebody knew how to cook with a Dutch oven, or maybe two or three. The best was when two or three people knew how to cook with a Dutch oven. And then they would show up and try to outdo each other, because then everybody wins, right? Like there's no losers when you're having a Dutch oven cook off or whatever. But when even one person knows what they're doing, it's you got nothing else to do when you're camping. So you're watching that person, prepare and cook. So everyone learns how to go through the steps. Is that the way I'm saying? Like not everybody learns how to do it, but you're all watching the person do it. So, in an emergency, you could figure it out. But anyway, Dutch
So,
oven cooking is super good. And the thing about Dutch ovens is you don't wash a Dutch oven with soap usually.
right.
So, like that's my pineapple upside down cake Dutch oven, and that's my, brownie Dutch oven. And they get like you you could make the same recipe in your oven at home. It ain't going to taste the same as when you make it with your Dutch oven. Plus the cook, the coals and the smoke and all that adds to like essentially smokes it, right? Anyway, we're talking about Dutch ovens.
So Ghost is out there, just joined us a minute or two ago.
Right on. We're way behind. Let's try to fast forward. We're going to end up in a 2-hour show. So you have a lot of knife reviews on your Amazon page. He has a
I got
couple.
a few.
He,
Yeah.
he cheats by having a bunch of knives and going to places and whatever. But again, this is Black Friday coming up, so we dropped our links earlier. This is Gizzards' link, and feel free to click on that and look around. He's got some ideas, things you might want to purchase, especially electronics and whatnot. Feel free to give these links to people and let them know, hey, this is helping out somebody I know. Because again, it doesn't cost nobody nothing to jump in through one of our stores and uh, buy whatever you're going to buy. In fact, I've got a little thing set up there right at the top that has a bunch of sales and things. So if you are looking for gifts or whatever, one way to start is by looking at what's on big sales, right? And then browse around. We've got some places to help you with that if you want to look at that. So Gunswater was saying Tractor Supply has 50 cal ammo cans for $10 right now. Tree line brand, identical to the military. So I guess that's a good price. Even back in the day, getting surplus ones for $10 was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think $10 is a pretty good deal.
Now, if it's $10 for a plastic one, I could care less. I don't want the
No,
plastic
no.
ones. And if it's like there's some cheapy, like, I don't know, they're just cheaper metal, I guess. They're cheapy, like they don't work, like they're the same. Like I don't want one of those either. But the thing is, I don't need no ammo cans. I buy ammo cans whenever I see them at a good deal, and mainly specimens though. Like I like them, so I try to buy whenever I see one that I don't already own. I buy it, and then I worry about what I'm going to use it for. So I've got, let's just say, I have a closet of ammo cans that are essentially empty, just sitting there because they look cool. So I don't need an ammo cans. How many ammo cans do you got? Do you like them, or living on the third floor? Are you not a fan of a big metal can?
I've got a few, I think half a dozen or more. Not a lot, between half a dozen and a dozen. My ammo collection has kind of dwindled down to the point where some of them are empty, which is kind of sad. But yeah, I have accumulated a few over the years, and most of them were Army surplus that my gun dealer sold for like you say, $10, $8 sometimes. There's a one or two of the modern plastic ones, but I don't really care for those too much. But yeah, I do keep a few of them around here to store ammo in because it's a good way to keep stuff out of the moisture and stuff like that. You know, if the seals are good on them, you can keep them airtight and keep
Yeah, they
stuff
go through
fresh.
wars. They go through wars, and they go through the hell that you have to get it to the battle. So they're definitely good. Now I was just thinking the plastic ones do have a value. The when you are just going to the range or whatever, if it doesn't have to go to war, then you don't have to carry around that big metal thing. So
Right.
if they're lighter, I did get somebody sent me 45 ammo one time. I've only gotten like free ammo like three times, and one of them was 45 ammo, and it was in like one of those plastic with the like essentially like the thin ammo can, except made out of
Hmm.
plastic, and it's super rugged. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I can't imagine stacking them 10 high and waiting 25 years that they're going to be anywhere near as strong as that metal, which is never going to go bad. But in at least in Arizona. But the for taking it to the range or whatever, I could see it for that. Um, but dang, I was gonna say something else about ammo cans, but we're talking about ammo cans now. Oh, I was gonna say, here's the thing that is worth, I think, talking about or mentioning, and that's just buy two, shoot one. Always buy two and shoot one. Never shoot the other one, and then you never want to be in a place where you don't have some ammunition for the communists if they're really asking for it, right? If it's the every blade of grass type of scenario, you got to have ammo. That's your responsibility.
That's
So
true.
right? So every time, if you just start out as a new gun owner and you buy two and shoot one, and don't worry about it. Buy two and shoot one. You're okay. I need to shoot three. Buy four. Buy five and shoot three. I'm going to go out this weekend. I'm going to shoot seven, because a lot of us, at least I shouldn't say us because I never did this, but people I know would go to the range and they'd buy, or we'd go shooting or something and they'd go buy 3 boxes of ammo. And for whatever reason, they shot 2 boxes or 2.5 boxes or a box and a half or whatever. They come home with some ammo. And then they'd go buy some and they'd come home with some ammo. They'd go buy some, come home with some ammo. Every once in a while, they take some of that accumulated ammo and shoot it, but mostly it just sat at home accumulating, and all these half boxes and stuff would be their supply. And I think that's normal. That's like a pretty good way of accumulating ammo, but it's not stockpiling ammo. It's not getting ammo for for the bad times or whatever. So that's where you just buy two and forget about the one of them. Buy two and forget about the one. It also, I think it helps dollar cost average you're going to gun shows. If you're going to gun shows very often and paying a parking and admission fee, buy some cheap ammo. Buy two and shoot one. Buy two because you're going to be uh, making your investment in the gun show more the more stuff you buy there. Plus, you're leaving money at a gun show, which is always a good thing. Anyway, that's my ammo lecture.
And now might be a good time. I've been told somebody sent me a text this morning, said that at least one of the big box stores that sell, uh, sporting goods, uh, has ammo on sale. I believe was 9mm for $10.99 a box. So Black Friday ads and stuff like that. This may be a good time to go do some ammo shopping.
Don't invest in fad calibers. Don't invest in fad metric.
Oh, you buy it to barter for the good stuff. You got to think ahead of stuff.
But if you are looking for, Mike White is saying you have a lot of reviews on your Amazon page, Gizzard.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a gift for somebody, you can't hurt to, a good option is to check out some of Gizzard's videos. If you're trying to look for something for somebody, I always think a knife is not necessarily a go-to, but it's an option. It's something that somebody might already carry a knife, and then what are they going to like? Oh, here's the second knife. Like, they're not going to go, dang it, here's the second knife. They're just going to be like, oh, okay, now I have another one in my rotation or another option. Or they'll like, whatever, trade it or something. But and then somebody who never's carried a knife before, you give them something that's a carry knife, like a pocket knife. Sometimes they dig it, So I think it's pretty economical. $25, $50 type of thing is a pretty easy investment. Or if you know somebody that really digs them, $80 to $100 knife is, I think, a pretty safe bet. Like, I don't think too many people are going to go, dang it, I got a knife.
I can't imagine anybody who'd turn down a knife.
The only time you could be like, dang, is if you got like if it was a knife you didn't like and you got a double. But even then you'd be like, well, I didn't like it before, but now I got two, So it's like, now that opens up some possibilities. Maybe there's something I can do here. So I don't know. I think there's a very low risk of getting doing a bad job buying a knife for somebody.
Well, if you have two of the same knife, you've got one you can carry and bang up, and another one you can keep nice as a backup.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying, especially a nice one. Like, you buy somebody a decent knife and they're like, oh, I already got one. Okay, thanks. Now I can carry mine. Or I can carry this one or whatever. But now I have one that I always can back up. But anyway, everybody's different. But I was saying, but I think what I was trying to get at is if you browse through the videos, you might get some ideas that you never, that's the whole idea of browsing, I guess. Is
absolutely. That's why I like doing knife review videos, is it gets products out there in front of people who might not know what's available now, and they can get some ideas off that. Oh, wow, I didn't know they sold anything like this. I might want one, so people who don't get to the stores and stuff like that.
Tactical Fudd is saying, welcome, by the way. Tactical Fudd is saying that he had one like Ozzy's and then lost it. I've lost a sheath knife one time when I was a youngin', and luckily did find it. But scared the crap out of me because I was just being reckless, running all around and not paying attention. And that taught me, like, having to go, I don't know if everybody's ever had to do this before, but essentially, at some point realizing, hey, my sheath's empty. Like, uh-oh, like, where's my knife at? And then having to retrace steps in a field, running around, being a kid, trying to remember where the hell I'd been, was tough and scared the crap out of me in a million different ways. I would not have gotten out of that when, well, I would have lost that thing. So ever since then, like, I'm very aware of my crap, and that's good because then, well, it was good because through the rest of my being a kid and growing up and whatever, I was always had that imminent, whatever the word is, like I always had that in my head, because later on when it matters, either when you're in training or something and they're going to yell at you and you're in trouble, like there's consequences if you lose something. But when it really matters, like when it matters when there's something missing, you just have that ground in you. So I don't think anybody yelling at me or anybody giving me an idea or like, giving me some song to memorize or like, whatever, losing it was what got me to, whatever, it graded in me. Like that's what, it's permanent now. Or it's, I'm constantly tapping my pocket. I think when you start carrying a gun, you get the same thing. Like you can start tapping your pocket a lot more, touching your waistband or whatever, wherever you've got it, making sure your purse is that heavy, whatever it is that you're doing to monitor. You get super, it's not apprehensive. You get super worried about it or whatever. You get super aware of if the thing is there.
Right.
Like I could care less if I lost my wallet. I'd be like, dang it, I lost my wallet. Or like, dang, I lost my phone. That sucks. But anyway, so I was going to say also, we might have a future topic there too, talking about that knife you lost. That would be an interesting conversation. I'm going to have to do that one today, but for a future one. Tail of the Dragon makes me think, were we live when you guys were talking about eating duck butts? These guys were eating duck butts yesterday. So, or turkey butts, I guess. Were we live during the turkey butt thing, or was that off air?
I
Turns
think
out
we were off air.
people eat the butts off of turkeys, it turns out. It's like the necks or the gizzards. Sorry, gizzard. I have a crazy ex-girlfriend that lives in Oklahoma City. I'll pass. It's a big city. A lot of good stuff in Oklahoma City.
Yep.
I've never watched that guy. There's Ghost out there.
Yeah, Mike said it was on air, that discussion. So.
Oh, okay. Remember somebody was saying about sucking the juices out of the duck butt because it had the best duck flavor or the turkey flavor or something. Turkey eaters. Let's see. I just counted my ammo cans 11. Guess I guess another one to make it a dozen. Huh? Or
I'm
two
not
more.
sure.
13.
I'm not sure what my exact count is, but it's around there.
I don't think I would. I don't even know. I have no idea how many ammo cans I have. But like I say, if I see an ammo can I have never owned it before, I buy the ammo can. Or at least I lived a lot of my life doing that, so I have a lot of ammo cans.
Just from where I'm sitting, I can see 6, but I know I've got some that are put away on shelves that I can't see. So
I have at least 6 that are empty. Most of my ammo cans are empty because I don't like putting stuff in them if they're gross. And a lot of mine are gross. And a lot of mine are dumb sizes. Do you have any that are like missile containers or anything like that?
1.
Because those things can be pretty dumb. Like
The
I have a couple that look
extra
cool
big
as
ones,
shit,
yeah.
but useless. No, I mean, I guess I was thinking the tubes and things, like they're different shapes.
No, I don't have any of those.
I got a couple that I bought when I was a kid just because you could buy dumb stuff back in the olden days at gun shows for nothing. Like people wouldn't want them, especially if you're anywhere near. And if you travel and go to gun shows, it's even better because you go near, I don't know, like some fort or some base, whatever it is they do there, and they're throwing away some piece of garbage. To me, it's going to look awesome because it's some kind of military case for some kind of optic. But, if they go through 1,000 of them every training cycle, they just think of it as like, just they hate that kind of garbage. So anybody that comes by and takes it, they'd be thankful. But then when people buy it, it's even better. But anyway, so I've got a bunch of stuff like that. And half the stuff when you open it, it's made for some like optic or some lens or something. So even though the case looks cool, you open it and it's useless. It's like, oh, okay, unless I own something that's the size of a potato chip or, shaped like some kind of part, there's no way to repurpose this thing. So I have a couple that are like that are essentially useless inside that I just think look cool. Or they have good stencils on them or something.
Right.
Let's see. All right, good. I think we finally did get to the end, and we're right about at the 2 hours, so we'll wrap this one up. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. The goal is to chat about knives and maybe talk about them in different ways and get some conversations going. I think we did pretty good today.
Yeah,
give me some feedback if we should do this as more of a panel thing, if you're interested in being on the panel, if you've got some topics. Otherwise, kind of threw this one together thanks to Savivi, because they had sent me these knives recently. I think I might have more on the way, and if that's the case, we'll continue to look at them. You got any handy? Civivis?
Oh, can if you give me 2 seconds.
I guess we got that kind of time. But thanks again to Civivi for sending people knives. That's
Okay,
super
I got a
cool.
couple that I just reached out and grabbed. So
But Gizzard's a little different. I got my Civivis because they sent them to me, and thanks again. But Gizzard has purchased some of his, so why don't you take us through a Civivi tour?
well, I've got these two anyway that I've done recent reviews on. So this is the Elementum. My first Civivi I ever bought was this with a different set of scales, but fairly simple
Oh,
flipper
you
knife.
put those scales on there.
No, no, no. These are the Ultim. This is the new material that they've started offering, which is a resin. I guess it was used in the aircraft industry. It's a lightweight resin material that's kind of heat resistant and stuff like that.
So I could get them to send me a set of those scales for my other knives, maybe.
Probably.
Oh,
You could
because I
probably
would like
buy
that
those separately.
that blue one. I got it. I'd like it more if it was less smooth. But those
A
are smooth, also, right?
nice drop point blade. It's got the jimping on the back that you want for your thumb, so you can. And then it's got the choil here. This is what I call a finger choil because it's kind of smoothed out, and you can choke up on the grip and put your finger right there if you need to. And this
How
is
thick
of
is the
course.
blade on that one?
Pardon me.
How thick is the blade? It's not that thick. It's all right,
It's not real thick.
but
And
it's not a thin one either.
this is Nitro V steel, stainless steel frame and pocket clip on this liner lock. So fairly lightweight knife, fairly easy to manipulate with one hand. And then we got the same knife in a different model. This is called the button lock Elementum 2. So instead of just being a flipper, it's not the liner lock. This is actually a button lock. So you can still flip it just like you did the other one, or you can use the button and you can flip it out that way with just the button. Also retrieve the blade with the. So it's a little bit stronger lockup, I think, on the button lock versus the liner lock or a frame lock. To me, it is anyway. But otherwise, it's a fairly similar knife. So those are two I happen to have handy. As far as Civivis go, I do have another knife handy, but it's not a Civivi.
What is it?
It is actually, this is a neck knife. It comes with the cord and everything to go around your neck and the sheath. This is from CRKT, which is Columbia River Knife and Tool. And this is part of their set that they call the Minimalist. And it's available in different styles. This is a cleaver. See, it says Minimalist right on there, and then the CRKT logo right there. These are not terribly expensive. You can pick them up on Amazon for under $30, I believe. They're not terribly expensive, but a decent little grip on here. They come with the lanyard, little tiny lanyard. You've got a grip panel on one side, so it's non-slip. And you wear this around your neck. The idea is you could wear it under a shirt or whatever if you don't have any means, or if you're trying to be discreet, perhaps, in carrying a knife or something like that. It's just a different way of carrying a knife and stuff like that.
I
So,
guess you got if you're wearing a Speedo and a turtleneck, that's your way to carry.
yeah, there are sometimes gun snobs out there, by the way, in the audience. But yeah, there are times when you're in a, like you say, maybe a swimsuit or a pair of shorts. You don't have any place to carry a knife, and that allows you a way to at least have a knife on you. So, not going to be for everybody, but I've carried it a few times. Yeah, Mike White says the knife show.
What did I call it today? I had a name for it. I got the robot came in.
Unboxed Blades Live, exploring pocket knife culture.
There you go.
So,
So, yeah, we're wrapping it up, though. We've been live for a couple hours. Thanks again for jumping in and being part of the show.
oh, you bet.
We'll be back next week if you got ideas for topics, directions, whatever. Like I said, willing to explore this one a bit. And we'll be back. Let's see, today is Sunday, so tomorrow with Alex Uli on the big channel. And yeah, stay tuned for more. I want to thank our Patreons, people that's subscribed to what we do over on the Patreon. Most people are buying us a cup of coffee each month. Some people are buying us lunch once a month, so $5 or $25 a month. Anywhere in between, we have a 762. We have a couple of different ones in there. So the people that subscribe to what we do keep our servers online, and they keep our software paid for, and they allow us to spend time on these projects. So much appreciated. I know Gizzard has channel members over on the YouTube. Accomplished the same goal. And I guess I've got you zapped up on the screen. Awkwardly. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
people may be tired of looking at me.
But Unboxed Blades, that's what I called it today. Thanks. So, yeah, thanks to Savivi for sending knives and being gracious and supportive of the community. I know they're sending knives to not just me, but to other people that are creating content. And another indication that if you want to be part of this whole thing, participate. And you will be noticed and discovered or whatever, and figure out ways to be part of it all. So with that, we'll throw a commercial up here for our store, and then talk to you next time.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.